Well, the house we worked on before had the coming the way that we were going to install the closet on the side of the house. But I had somebody ask me, what if the rafters are going the wrong way? Okay, well, this is what you're going to, I mean, it can be done. There's no sense panicking. But since this is all a show and tell, these boards down here on the bottom would represent if you have a concrete foundation. In other words, a perimeter beam that goes all the way around the house, like this house here. See, like this is your concrete beam down there, and then of course your bricks or wood siding would go up from that. Okay, but anyway, then let's just say you have a brick or wood frame house and you pull it off, and then you see the rafters are running the wrong way, and not like that to where you can just slide in a rafter. You do that, you just come out. Rule of thumb, 2/3 under, 1/3 out. 6 foot under, 2 foot out. Okay, now we can see what we're fixing to do. Okay, now let's say you got your floor rafters like this, floor joist, excuse me. Okay, once you have your basic plan laid out, and you're going to come over your 30, 36, whatever inches over. Okay, we've got our first mark over here, and then we got to go over 4 foot. And then what we've got to do, we have to add for the 2 outside walls. So we have to add 10 inches. That's 5 inch for each side, unless you are framing with a 2x6 walls. Then you're going to do, let's see, 5.5, 6, 7. Then you have to do a 7 inch, which is 14 inch on each side. So, but in this case, we're just doing 2x4s. So you want to do 4 foot plus 10 inches. There's our 4 foot, 10 inches, which is 48. Now we want to go 58. Okay, that'd be our 2 outside walls. Now we're not talking about any kind of exterior walls or whatnot. That's up to you of what you need. So you're going to have to figure that in if you're at the corner of a house. Anyway, all right, now what we do, here comes the interesting part. I'm only going to go under 4 foot since we're not putting anything here anyway. So I'm going to have to cut this one, and then we're going to have to square off and cut the next one, which would be this one, but we don't cut the third one. We leave that alone because that's going to be our support beam along with our outside wall, whatever that might be. Could be lumber, could be concrete, we're just not sure. Anyway, the nice part about me doing this is that I pull the floor out. You're going to have to do all this from underneath the house. So the less you have to cut, the better, but then again, you still want the strength. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut this one and the next one, and then we're going from there. But like I say, you've got to square this thing off as best you can. Now the ones coming from underneath the house, you got to make sure they're pretty much spot on as far as being square coming off the house, because you don't want to have a crooked closet. All right, now while you're under the house, then you'll have to figure out what the distance is from your underneath the concrete whatever over to where your first mark is. So you really need to cut this outside mark first so that you can get your other measurements from under the house, because nobody wants to spend a lot of time under a house. You can see how dangerous kickbacks are. That's because the lumber, as you're cutting it, is pinching. And the gap is closing up on the saw blade, and that'll sometimes kick out. So this was just a kind of a safety instruction on top of everything else. We've got our first part done. Both sides are cut. Now we have to go in. Like I say, you got to find some kind of an area you can measure from on the side. In which case you come from your first one, it comes over 16 inches. Come over here, 16 inches. Of course, you know what it is from here to the other cut. And then if you need to cut the third one, you want to come over 16 inches also. But anyway, all we're doing is cutting just this one. This is going to be our support beam. As you're cutting this thing, you're going to be laying on your back. Something like that. You can use this to hold your tape and go over and mark your 58 inches. All these rafters are going to be nailed into the subfloor, so you won't have to worry about those things moving or jiggling around or whatever they're doing. Okay, now you've got your space cut out. Now we've got to lay in our other rafters. On the final joist that you're going to be nailing to before you mount your joist that's going to come all the way out for your closet. We need to double this one back here. And the way you do that, you may have to get an extra long one or figure out some way to get one from the support joist all the way over to the other support joist, whatever you may have underneath the house. Okay, so we got to put one support across here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and nail in our one closet rafter to where it needs to go, because the support rafter is going to go behind it. Okay, if nails are great. If you want to use screws, don't use those gray deck screws. Get you some timber screws. They're a lot stronger. The shear factor on them is quite a bit higher than deck screws. Deck screws are pretty much just to hold the deck down to the framing. So So anyway, let me nail this up. And of course, we got to do our side joist. Okay, we got those done. This support is really extra strength for the other rafters. Your floor joists are going to be running out, so there won't be any problem of anything sagging. Okay, now we're ready to put in our other floor joist. 2x6, you do 16" on center. 2x8, you can do 24. So we're going to mark them out, 16" on center. But the one thing you need to do first is you add an extra support on the outside of each side, because that's going to support not only your walls, but it's going to support, if you go up and tie into the roof, it's going to help support the roof too. So you've got a lot that these things are going to carry, so make sure you double these up. Okay, we've got these things marked. You got the 16, 32, and then 48. But then you say, why should I put 48 in there? You only got like 3 inches. Well, I'm going to leave that up to you. Regardless what you do, 16" on center. The rest of this framing is going to be like the other framing, the one where we came through that brick wall. This is basically how you do it. You know, once you get that cut out and set up, then everything else frames up just like the other one. Well, I sure hope this helps, and please let me know if there's any other questions you have.